everyone very much came into the group as like, this is mine and that is yours. And like, we don't really work together per se. Like we are collegial and friendly, but like we're not cohesive. So the idea of being cohesive was not quite there. We would have good team meetings, we'd talk, but it was very surface level. And so I think the pandemic just exacerbated that. Working remotely, it was very hard to connect and build relationships with one another, both on a personal and a professional level. And then, of course, I went on maternity leave for 5 months, and it was just like one thing after another, really created an opportunity for the group to kind of keep doing their own thing. Even though we were a unit, there was not much sense of like, we're a team though, and we do this together.
The team really did take to heart and want to engage with the rest of the teams within alumni to better understand that work. But sometimes it's a challenge. And so I think culturally, we as a team are really looking to better educate ourselves on the role of alumni affairs and the work that we do in support of the Alumni Association. But definitely there are challenges when you have to tell your colleagues no because of policy and things like that. So I think definitely a culture of one that we wanted to engage to better understand the work to provide the best support possible, but certainly one that was, never not challenging. And so I think, moving more into that space has been a goal of the team for a while. First reviewing the assessment, the knee-jerk reaction is where that energy level was, and oh, is that really right? But the moment we read through it and went through it, it became very clear it was quite accurate, but not unusual or not surprising. And Erica was so great about digging in and finding out what was driving those feelings and those responses. And I left that first session ready to go into the larger group session, very much energized and excited to see how this was going to play out, both across the organization and obviously within my own team. And so I think coming from very little awareness of really where we were headed to really leading into that first session after just an hour with Erica was just tremendous of what then my expectations were. And I think just that initial takeaway of understanding what the energy levels were and being aware that they exist was pretty mind-blowing to go into that first session and then really sit with many different colleagues that I didn't necessarily interact with on a regular basis and see how we as a larger organization were really feeling in this space.
It was really just reflection. Like some of the folks that I appreciate, basically they were conveying, I appreciated that space. I appreciated the way it was delivered. And I will just compare it to like some of the other assessments we've done, really try to put people in a box, right? They try to categorize you and say, this is your personality type, or this is the way you approach something, or fill in the blank. It is like, this is who you are. And I think what really resonated with the team was it looked at, instead of this is who you are, it was saying, this is how you tend to show up, but there's this whole spectrum of ways to show up. And so I think that was what most folks were just took away with them. Like they just kept saying, I'm really going to pay attention to what energy I'm bringing. And even trying to interpret or just understand if I'm picking something up from somebody I'm interacting with. So I think, again, that was some refreshing for everybody to go, oh, just because I'm showing up this way doesn't mean I have to be this way.
For those that really did engage, which was most of the people that were in the groups I were in, it's just that awareness is huge. Even if you can't do anything about what level you're at, knowing you're at that level for that day, for this situation, and that this is how I'm feeling today or how I am dealing with this today, just knowing that and knowing there's a place to go that might be a little bit better and starting to talk about strategies to get there, even if you're not quite ready, was, at least for me personally and for those within my team that I talked with shortly after the session, was just so eye-opening.
I think what ELI has really given me is this ability to be aware of what externally some behaviors or some language might look like, and then again how internally that is the individual kind of working through their energy level. I do feel that ELI did give us a common language, and that was something I reflected on when we were in the coaching session with the team. But even within just a few weeks, I'm already seeing, I guess I'll use trust. Like, because we have this common language, I'm seeing more trust in when I am talking with someone, or even when they're speaking to me and saying, hey, like, this is where I'm at with this project and I'm stressed about X. Or, again, they're just being more forthcoming with where they are. And I think that's a big shift, because before it would just be very business focused, it would be very project oriented. But that didn't really encompass like how that was making them feel and how they were showing up for that.
I think it very much became aware that the reaction we were getting from someone who we deemed very close colleagues that seemed to be very angry and upset, where that was coming from, that energy, and what it, why now. And I think being mindful of those energy levels and the other factors going on for this individual, of having to be in the office 4 or 5 days a week when we were not, the expectation of the level of service. And, it was more about what we didn't have to do, and than it was about what was really needed for the organization to be successful in these spaces. To lead with empathy is so important right now, to be able to meet people where they are, to give them the space that they need to grieve, to care for their families, whatever it is that's going on outside of their work. That is what people need right now. And an employer, a business, an organization, if they can't give that to individuals, they're going to go elsewhere, or they're just going to find something else to do. And it's so important that we realize the care that we need to give to our employees. Giving that space to show that care for Julie as our leader, to give us the space and that care, was really, really just so important and so needed. And I think it's just really opened up a new way, or an enhanced way of leading, as we hopefully come out of the other side of this pandemic and really figure out what our new normal is.
I am someone who's tried a lot of things and really tries to buy into these things, but this is one I've truly felt its intention is met. I've truly seen the buy-in from my staff, which is something, don't always get, at least 100% don't always get. So if I were to, really reflect back on this, it's worthwhile to give it a try.